If you have a question, please indicate so using the raise hand function. We're going to get started with head coach Travis Green. And Travis, we have the first question from Jeff Patterson, TSN 1040. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Travis, exceptional circumstances, obviously. We know that you generally don't reveal goaltending plans except on game day. There won't be a pregame avail. Can you tell us what you're planning to do in this exhibition game with your goalies?
Markstrom will start tomorrow.
Does that mean that Thatcher might see some action?
Yeah, might see some action.
All right. Everybody accounted for at practice today?
Yep, same groups. Everyone was on the ice today.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
And once again, if you have a question, please indicate so using the raise hand function. And give it a minute for the questions to filter in here. We're going to go back to Jeff Patterson.
With the ability to dress an extra forward and an extra defenseman, it's already constrained on the bench. Will all guys be dressed for the entire game, or do guys sub in at some point?
No, we'll have them dressed for the entire game.
Thank you, Jeff. Once again, please use the raise hand function to indicate you have a question. Next up, we'll go to Jay Janauer. Jay, go ahead.
Travis, yesterday you talked about the fact that you did have difficult decisions when it comes to filling out your roster. Are you any closer to deciding what your four lines are going to look like and how that'll shape up?
Maybe a little bit, but probably want to see the game. I'm probably not much closer than I was yesterday, so I'm anxious to see our team in a game.
Are you treating it like I'm curious about the psychology of the whole tournament, Travis, and being on the road for as long? Are you trying to get as comfortable as you can in terms of the hotel, making it feel like home, or is it really like a long road trip? What's the psychology that you guys have tried to instill in the team?
Well, I think the league's done a good job of, we've got a lounge eating area. We've kind of turned it into we've got, I wouldn't call it a gym, but we've got a fair amount of gym equipment inside that room as well. They've got a lounge at the arena. But our guys they're comfortable. I think they're more excited than anything right now. And it is a road trip. There's lots of times you go into a city for 3, 4, 5 days. We've stayed in New York for 5 days before, but it is different. And there's no sense trying to make it not be different. It is different. And we've talked about our guys about being adaptable right from day one. And we're not going to try to trick them or fool them. This is different, and we want to embrace it. We want to have fun with it, and obviously play our best.
Do you feel like a bit of a mad scientist with the fact that you can really maybe experiment a little bit with who you plug into your lineup? Zach looked good. Michael Furlan was the big surprise for all of us. And of course, we saw the connection with Tyler Toffoli. Does that excite you with the options that you have, Travis?
Well, there's lots of options. We've got 15 NHL forwards. At the end of the day, there's going to be 3 guys sitting out that could quite easily play. It's not an easy decision, and we're going to have to make some hard ones. But hopefully that'll be, even though it's the hardest decision now, hopefully it helps us down the road the farther we go.
Thanks, Travis.
Great, thank you, Jay. For those of you just joining us, we are accepting questions for head coach Travis Green. Please identify that you have a question using the raise hand function. We're going to go to Brendan Batchelor from Sportsnet 650. Brendan, go ahead.
Thank you. Travis, I know you've touched on it earlier in the week, but talking about some of those decisions at the bottom of your lineup up front and the guys that might have to sit out, how important will penalty killing ability be for guys, particularly on that fourth line?
Well, it's important. It's obvious when you know who your power play guys are, but you know, if you don't have your top penalty killers in, it's just as important. You can envision Petey and Miller not on the power play. It would look a lot different, much like our penalty kills. So we're going to have to be mindful of that. We have to have penalty killers in. And, you know, the one thing about our team is we do have some youth in our group, especially our forward group, and a lot of that youth doesn't kill penalties yet. I feel penalty killing is, you know, something that you learn a little bit slower when you come into the league as a young guy. It's probably easier to jump onto a power play than a penalty kill. And that is definitely going to play into our decision making for sure.
And, you know, it's been talked a lot about the fact you've got a lot of guys that don't have playoff experience at this level, and this is an unprecedented situation for everyone. Do you notice your younger players maybe leaning on some of the older guys that have a lot of experience, like Jay Beagle, Tyler Toffoli, Tanner Pearson, even through the first couple days here in the bubble?
Not yet. We've had a couple of meetings already regarding playoff hockey in Minnesota, and they might be a little more vocal in those meetings, but that's usually the case anyway, even during the regular season.
Last one for me. Did you get to see any of the early game and just your impressions of what the setup looked like in Toronto and what it might look like for you guys in the game rink there in Edmonton?
Just briefly, didn't get to see much. We were practicing and working as a staff, so I might try to watch some of the game tonight, though.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, we have Ben Kuzma, Post Media. Ben, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Travis.
Hey, Ben.
We talked a little bit about your younger guys. You know, the thing is, I mean, whether it's Petey winning a Swedish Elite League title and being MVP, Brock winning an NCAA double A title with North Dakota, or Quinn being the youngest player to play in a world championship, do you think any of that carries some weight, even though they don't have any postseason experience in the NHL? They have played some elite games in some big-time tournaments or big-time leagues. Can that help them get over this hump because they haven't played a playoff game yet?
They'll be fine. I'm not worried about them at all.
Yeah.
Petey won a championship, like you said, in Sweden.
Yeah.
Had pretty good playoff over there, if I recall. I think he got the MVP. So
Yep.
These are top young guys. They like the pressure. They want it. They will have to adapt to a few things, but good young players do that.
Do you think one of the biggest challenges for them is the added attention that elite young players are going to get in the postseason? We saw, Quinn have some special attention in Montreal that one night. Do you think that's just part and parcel of what's at play here, and that they'll be able to adjust?
Yep, that is part of playoff hockey, and I'm fully confident they'll be able to adjust.
One more thing for me, Travis. You talked a little bit about your lineup yesterday. Are you going to divulge it, or do you still have some decisions to make? You know, I have to ask.
You can ask. I think you asked a question you know the answer to. So
Yeah, well, nothing ventured,
we'll
nothing.
not be divulging it.
Thanks, Travis.
Okay, thanks, bud.
Next up, we're going to go to Thomas Strantz from The Athletic. Thomas, go ahead.
Travis, hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Sure can. Loud and clear.
Thanks, man. Presuming, and not expecting you to disclose it, presuming Michael Furland is able to play, I've already messed this up. In the event that Michael Furland plays in the exhibition, would you be looking at that potentially as still another hurdle that you'd like to see him clear based on what he's been through over the past 10 months?
I'm trying to figure out what you asked me. What are you asking me?
Well,
to answer?
with as good as Michael Furland's looked in scrimmages and practices, playing
Yes.
in a game still seems to be a little bit different, right? In the event that he does play in your exhibition game tomorrow, would getting through that game, in your view, still represent, like, is that still another hurdle for him to clear as he works his way back into your lineup?
I mean, it's a nice story from the outside. I think he feels pretty confident right now. Michael Furland looks really good to me, and I'm not too worried about it. I guess I haven't really thought about it as a hurdle. I'm excited for him to get into a game tomorrow. I'm excited for a lot of guys to get into a game tomorrow. Some of them maybe to make sure that they're in the lineup for game one. Get some body contact. Furley's probably one of them. Needs to get a little more contact. I don't think it's any secret the way Michael Furlan plays. He's a handful when he's on top of his game and he's excited to play. And right now he seems as excited to play as I've seen him.
We're going to go to one final follow-up question from Brendan Batchelor.
Yeah, Travis, just following up on Michael Furland, when we spoke to him the other day, he talked about, feeling pretty low after he couldn't finish that game in Utica from an emotional perspective. Just in seeing him being back with the group, back at practice, taking part of the scrimmages, how big of a difference is there in, his enjoyment of every day as opposed to the guy that you saw that was going through all those issues throughout the season?
Yeah, night and day. He's as engaged as I've seen him. I would say even more so than the beginning of last season. And maybe part of that is just being comfortable with our group, around the guys. Like I said, he's having fun. He's chirping. He's loud on the bench. I'm seeing a side of him that I probably didn't see even in the 10 or 11 games he played with us. And I'm seeing it in his play. Very energetic in his play right now. He looks quick, wants the puck, wants to get places quick. And, he looks like the Michael Furlan we've seen in the past that's been a pretty good playoff player.
Thank you.